Hi everyone, welcome to this Google Digital Garage training session on getting started with live streaming. Okay, my name is Benedict. I'm a trainer for Google's free skills training program, Google Digital Garage. Just a bit about myself, I'm an experienced coding specialist and digital skills trainer, as well as having a background in the digital creative industry and have worked in the sector for over 20 years. I would also like to introduce our amazing moderator, Joanne. Joanne is also a Google Digital Garage coach and will be interacting with you and answering just about all of your questions via the instant chat to the right. You can identify the moderator by her name, of course, Joanne, as well as a little blue spanner next to her name. Okay, let us now get started with everything. So, bear with me one moment. I will just... Okay, so today, these are the three things I'm going to be covering with you. First of all, learning about live streaming. What exactly is live streaming? I'll be covering the different things, what it is and everything. The second thing we'll be looking at is discovering live streaming tools and services. The best ones that are actually most ideal for your particular live streaming and everything. We'll be looking at that. And then setting up your live streaming, steps to actually setting up your live streaming journey from pre to post-production. All right, just before we start, I just wanted to call out a few things just to help you today. So firstly, if you are having any trouble with connectivity at any point, just try refreshing your page. Please do use the chat box if you would like to ask a question. It's a great opportunity. And of course, Joanne will answer just about all of the different questions. She will pass some across to me, which will be really nice for the question and answer sections of the session. Okay. And just to let you know, we are running this Google Digital Garage virtual training as part of a broader offering of courses. You know, if you would like to check out our schedule of upcoming webinar training, please see information on this in the description below. It links you through to our website. We also offer a variety of training courses, including a free certificate from Google in the fundamentals of digital marketing. Okay, so that is the housekeeping done. Let us get started with live streaming your content. Now, one thing I'm going to ask all of you now, please, if you can communicate with Joanne on the live chat, I will be able to see this immediately, which would be great. If you can communicate where are you, in fact, in the world. So I want to particularly welcome here Ta Kung Lian. My apologies, I'm doing my best to pronounce your name there. And Ada Marie, welcome. Welcome from Morocco, particularly. Israel as well, from Nigeria. Excellent, welcome. Also Abhishek from Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh, India. Welcome. Okay, excellent. So if there's anyone else, please do. I think there's quite a few of you. If you can communicate where you're actually signing on from, welcome, Pretty. And Kejdi from Albania, welcome. This is great. Kaylee, Kent, England, excellent. Nopawan Platzer from Germany, excellent, welcome. So welcome all of you to this talk. It's a great opportunity. Oh, and Pretty from South Africa, excellent. You might be able to tell from my slight accent, I was actually born and grew up there. So that's a particular place I grew up in, Cape Town. So you're most welcome, Ta Kung Lian. So let me now get started in the actual talk here. So the first thing I want to point out now, at the moment, this is possible for people in the UK. If you're part of a small business or if you're part of a charity, at the moment it's in the UK. Hopefully, eventually this will expand out to other countries. There's a great opportunity for one-to-one mentoring. Great opportunity. You know, you can be helped with all sorts of different things, whether it's, setting up your business, whether it's deciding, marketing your business and all that kind of side. You will have an opportunity to speak to one of us, and we can help you and assist you as best we can, of course. It's g.co/UK mentoring. Joanne, thank you very much for providing the link. It's a really useful opportunity for one-to-one mentoring. At the moment it is in the UK, but we hope soon that this will eventually expand, of course, which would be great to all parts of the world. All right, first question, why did you decide to join today's session? What are you hoping to learn more about particularly? Now, I did introduce you and ask you to communicate the different countries that you're actually signing on from. Welcome Tochi from Nigeria as well. It's just the great thing about this, of course, this is live streaming. I'm speaking live. I'm in front of the camera, I've got the lights on and everything. This is all live, and of course Joanne is responding immediately live as well. So welcome Mate from Malaysia. So of course I'm seeing all of these things are all live. It's a great opportunity. Live streaming is wonderful. It's the power of united individuals across different cities and different continents, which is wonderful. So it's a great opportunity. And so this is one of the big things you could say largely about live streaming. Hopefully what you'll be able to learn, particularly with today with live streaming, it is very much uniting forces across all people across from the different countries, which is wonderful. Yes, Tina, the thing is, when I finished giving the talk, within 24 hours, you can watch the same video with the chat and everything up till 24 hours after I finish giving the talk. After that, it's taken off because, of course, obviously this is copyright, this is Google's property and everything. But the point is, you can carry on, you can watch it again. So you've got 24 hours to watch it in. Don't forget, of course, you can book for another session if you miss those 24 hours. But it's a great opportunity. If you come late or whatever reason, you can come back to this within those 24 hours, which is great. You're most welcome, Tina. Okay, so let us get started now with this. So what is live streaming? Let's have a look a little bit more closely at what live streaming is. So my first question to all of you is, have you actually tried live streaming before? Have you actually tried it before? I will keep an eye actually on the chat. Don't worry about this, Joanne. If you copy most of the questions that come up and everything, that'll be wonderful. But if you've actually had an experience with live streaming, how did it go? I'm going to leave that question with you. I will come back to it. But we're going to have a look, not on YouTube, Tina. Okay, don't worry. There's different places you can do it. Yes, absolutely. Ta Kung Lian, certainly the subtitles should be possible, but you just need to turn subtitles on. If there's any issues with it, obviously we'll need to look into it and try to get that corrected. My apologies if it's not working. We do have a system that we have working with it, but if it's not working, but I can see two of you not seeing it yet, we will look into this and try and get that fixed if there's any issues. Okay. All right, first of all, just to demonstrate the rise in live streaming popularity and social media activity since COVID-19, this is a big thing. Now, 51% increase, in streaming services worldwide. And also 39% rise in streaming in the UK and 40% rise in social media usage in the United Kingdom. Particularly people being at home and not being able to get out and, go out to the typical places they might have been able to get to. It's a very important, the communication side. And, it's so important that they are able to actually do this, okay? To be able to communicate, that's something which is so very, very important to be able to do. Yes, thank you. Yes. So carrying on with this. So it's very important that you can actually use this fact that people are needing to communicate and to be able to communicate with your brand and everything. Okay. So connecting better with live stream. Now, live streaming really does allow you to connect with your audience and hold events virtually, which is fabulous. You know, it is really the next best thing to actually having a traditional live event. You know, of course, it's much cheaper as well, which is wonderful, because you're not actually having to rent out places and everything, but you're actually doing it live, actually on the internet. To give you some, obviously this is not the be all, you know, there's many different, you could be providing this yourself, but the typical service providers, you could say, are, for example, fitness, online learning, that typically use those particular things. There are, for example, social media influencers use it particularly, community groups, for example, book clubs, church groups, that kind of thing, product owners, and also lectures from schools and universities. That's kind of the typical place where you might have seen a lot of that happening. My apologies about the captions. I have checked everything, the microphone's on, everything's correct and everything, and I'm on the correct channel. My apologies for the captions. We'll have to look into that and get that solved. So my apologies about that. Unfortunately, we can't, because it's all live, I can't solve it right now. We'll have to look into it and get it fixed. Okay. It's an opportunity really to discuss, of course, topical current events and actually communicate how your brand really relates to them. You know, you can hold live discussions with questions and answers. You know, you can build the trust and loyalty by providing, you know, raw, authentic insight into your brand. The great thing as well is you can host events and communicate much more intimately with your audience about your brand and actually build a strong community relationship. This is a big thing. And it, of course, eventually, once you build up their trust, they get to know you, they can see how much you're an expert in what you actually provide and everything. Eventually, this could lead eventually to greater sales, positive reviews, and overall interactions between customers, you know, and your community, which is a great opportunity. Okay, so why live stream? All right. A couple of different things. I'm going to try and cover these. We've got so much information. We're trying to communicate everything as fast as possible, of course. But to diversify your audience. Now, the internet, of course, is an immeasurably large place. The live streaming opens opportunities to connect with people who wouldn't have otherwise known about your brand, which is a great opportunity to increase your reach, of course. And hosting and attending an event in person is often a very big commitment, you know, financially, and if they're having to travel energetically, demographically, all of those different things. So it can be a big barrier, but the great thing is if they can just go online and actually communicate, you're bringing down those barriers a lot. And with live streaming, people can actually join from anywhere with relative ease, you know. It could be a great chance to grow your audience as well as diversify it. The other thing is you could engage in real time, of course, like I'm doing at the moment. You can join direct conversations with your audience and learn about their particular likes and frustrations. And live stream events provide your audience a platform to really engage with you and your brand in, of course, as I've said already, real time. You can also express your authenticity, your believability, because you are live there in front of the camera, like I am at the moment. And it makes everything much more human and more reliable, you know. And it's important really to make sure you have the best presenters, of course, of your brand advocates appearing on your live stream. So choose who really goes on camera very carefully, you know, very wisely, you could say. And then, of course, the big thing is you can connect better with audiences. You know, you can reach target audiences. If your audience is very niche, you know, a live stream event, you know, is greater possibility of communicating with them. And it also means that you can work out who the engaged portion of your social media followers actually are, and you can find out a lot more information about them during the interaction as well. The other thing is, of course, it is very cost effective. You know, the cost barrier is very low, even non-existent on certain platforms. I mean, you know, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube Live, this kind of thing. You know, you could actually increase the revenue or access to new revenue streams, which is a great opportunity. And also you're creating, polished and engaging live stream experience for all the people who take part. Okay, so, and all right, questions and answers so far. Let me have a look across. So, Tina, you've been planning a launch event on YouTube. Excellent, that's really great. So I hope that this will really help you a lot in the interaction. Tan, excellent, you are going to as well. So hopefully all of these things, we're going to get on the technical side as well to help you, which is a great opportunity. Okay, Pretty, you tried it and it was a disaster. That's the way you learn, of course, from one's mistakes. That's the biggest thing. The big thing as well, Pretty, and of course for all of you, is try a lot of these things beforehand, of course, to test everything out. Unfortunately, this is the problem at the moment with our caption system. We can't test it beforehand. Of course, if we had been able to, we would have tested and made sure that whatever was fixed. But unfortunately that we couldn't. But it's really good if you test run. Of course, we as well, we get together half an hour beforehand, go through everything, check everything. Mic's working, this working, that working. It's so vital, to make sure that you've got everything ready. Okay, Tina, so how to attract audiences on YouTube? People on YouTube who are likely to be interested. Very good point, Tina. Excellent. One of the things is as well, let me point out to you as well, is YouTube has got analytics as well, which can help you a lot. So if you've got a channel already, make sure that you take advantage of that and you find out as much as possible from that. Don't forget there's YouTube Creator Academy to help you and assist you. And of course, these are people who've been very successful on YouTube. So there's a lot you can learn from them. I mean, obviously, I'm not avoiding this question, but I'm just talking some of the different sources you can actually use to find out even more and improve your chances on YouTube. Certainly, you need to put posts out there, Tina, with your website and everything. You could, ideally, if you could do little short snippets of, what's going to be happening before on YouTube to track people's attention. You've got to, the big thing is, of course, because it's online, doesn't mean a lot of people are going to attend. The point is you've got to advertise as much as possible. So it's getting out there. And building trust with the audience. Well, hopefully at the moment, I'm building trust at the moment because I'm communicating with you. I'm seeing your questions. I'm answering the different questions that come up, obviously related to what we're dealing with here. So you are building up trust by appearing there, by communicating, by answering the different questions. If you're talking about before, Tan, then of course, obviously there's different ways you can do this. Communication, of course, as you know, no doubt is very important. So a lot of the different things is you can be answering different questions that come up about your previous videos or your live streaming before that might be online that people can see. And then that way you're communicating. It's communication more than anything. For how many weeks in advance would you suggest advertising? Yes, good question. You kind of need to work this out, Tina, so that you can actually, okay, how many weeks in advance would you suggest advertising your particular event that's going to be coming up? Well, it depends largely, of course, on your clients, on your customers, on the people who you're going to be. You don't want to set it too soon, or they might forget about it, put it in the calendar, or forget about it, or something like that. But you want to increase over time as well. So maybe a week before, advertise to them. It depends who you're marketing to, who you're trying to reach out to, of course. No problem, Tan. So all of this to really help you as much as possible. I hope that gives you a rough idea, Tina. It does depend on your clients, on how many people are aware of you who are following you already. Maybe some of the different topics you could be discussing or bringing up in the post as well. Or you could be asking them to come up with some of the questions that you want us to deal with, for example. That would be a way as well. With YouTube ads, okay, all right. You can do I can't really set a date on how long is going to work out best. You need to test this out, okay? But you can do little short clippets. You can be putting questions like, please provide us with some, so you're getting them involved immediately. The thing is, Tina, the more you can get them involved before it actually happens, the better. Then it's not just something that they can easily forget, but they've asked you to deal with certain things or answer certain questions, then they feel a part of it, which is really nice. It just got clear after I tried a million times. Excellent. Yes, Kishi, practice makes perfect. Absolutely. No problem at all. Okay, so I've got to watch the time as well because we've got not too many slides, but there's a lot of information in all these different things. Now we're going to look at discovering live streaming tools and services. I won't be looking so much at your chat now. Obviously, Joanne will be copying a lot of these across whilst I'm chatting and of course answering a lot of the different questions. So let's have a look at discovering live streaming tools and services. All right, let us begin with this. So what live streaming platforms are you familiar with? Now I know some of you already, some of you have been on YouTube already, I believe. Any other platforms that you've been on, please communicate and tell us how did it go? I know some of you, when it was a disaster, Pretty, I remember you were saying, of course you learn from this experience, but what did, some things maybe you liked about it and what did you not like about it? So those are my kind of questions. YouTube, okay, Abhishek, that's great. TikTok, excellent. Tan, Instagram, excellent. Great, so you've been trying out all these different ones. The big thing now here with this, of course, no one size does not fit all streaming service. Great, Israel, Zoom, excellent, that's another one. So consider the pros and cons with your audience and business needs in mind. So set out, your streaming objectives, very, very important. What do you actually hope to achieve with the stream? Okay, great, pretty. Zoom and LinkedIn, great. So identify platforms that your audiences are active on, where they hang out. This is a big thing. The accessibility and the user experience as well, keeping those two things in mind. It's really important to choose the right platform for your objectives as well as your audience's experience. Now, some of the questions to ask yourself and sort of guide your choosing process. Do you need to schedule in advance? Okay, generally speaking, I'd recommend it, but do you need to ask yourself that? Would you like to record your session? With us, for example, we provide it 24 hours after. Some people put it onto their website so they can see it later. Is your audience comfortable with accessing live streams? Okay, or not? Are a lot of them maybe more not used to that kind of thing? So do you need to help them out with certain things and everything to make them feel more comfortable? What devices will they be joining from? Will it be their mobile? Will it be the laptop? Will it be the desktop? All of those different things. So accessibility largely, I'm talking about there, Israel, I'm talking about the accessibility for people what kind of things are they used to? Do they have a mobile? Do they have a laptop? Are they comfortable with the different things on the computer and everything? So that's some of the size of accessibility as well. Then what devices will they be joining from? What levels of audience engagement do you need and how many people are you expecting? So those are some of the questions just to ask yourself. So selecting your platform. So I'm going to run through, these various live stream platforms available and discuss features, all right, with some of the different ones, okay? So, all right. Of course, there are larger streaming platforms like Instagram, YouTube Live, Facebook Live, or you might also want to also consider other platforms like Vimeo, YouNow, Twitch, Darkcast, all of these different ones. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that very correctly, but so these platforms often offer various features. Some may suit your business needs better than others. So things to really consider about, when selecting your platform, audience demographic. Consider who your audience are and what platforms they are already engaging on. Where do they hang out? and you want to reach your desired audience. This is a big thing. Make it nice and comfortable and easy and easy to click on it because that's where they hang out, let's say. Platform functionality. So different platforms offer different functionalities. So, you know, when you schedule your live broadcast, an announcement post is published to your page, letting your followers know that you have actually an upcoming live stream. So who sees the announcement post can click Get Reminder to receive a one-off reminder notification actually before the stream begins. And then a live broadcast post at the scheduled time of your live broadcast, a post containing your live stream will automatically be published. That can really help. And people who expressed interest via the announcement post get a notification directly from the broadcast. Okay, interactivity. Perhaps you might want a bit more interactivity, you know, where you can. You can incorporate polling features to gather data and feedback. For example, Slido, Slido, and then you can see attendees and give live demos. Now that could be something like, for example, Google Meet or Zoom or something like that, where you're actually interacting so you can see the people and their reaction, and that can be really useful if it's something like a workshop and they can demonstrate some of the things they've put together. So overall, if you're making live stream content that is more announcement based and requires low audience engagement, use a mobile streaming platform like Instagram Live, where you can see replies but low chat function. And if you would like audience engagement, you might want to consider a more interactive platform like YouTube Live, like we're doing at the moment with the moderated, you know, chat tool. It's very important if you do use something like YouTube Live that you do have a moderator. It's so important that I have Joanne there at the moment, for example. She's passing some of the different questions across. She's communicating with me if there's any issues, whatever, like the caption, for example, come up. She'll communicate with me, and it's so important to have that, another person to look after the audience, really. Database of users. So where are your users active, you know? If they're on Instagram and Facebook, it may be good to engage with them live there. And then equipment available. What type of equipment might you need? Okay, Instagram or Facebook, you might not need any professional equipment. You know, you can actually use your mobile phone with a working camera and microphone. And then on YouTube, you might want a webcam or an external mic and maybe a ring light. And then accessibility. How accessible are your streams to your audience? This is the big thing. How accessible are they to your audience? For example, automatic caption features on YouTube Lives and Meets, which should normally be working, and ideally make sure everything's functioning correctly before you start everything. Okay. All right, so leveraging social media to go live. All right, now use social media to increase your brand awareness and of course reach new audiences. You know, you'll need to apply the same level of care and attention to marketing, promoting a live event on your regular services. The big thing, it's not like it's going to be live, therefore everyone will know about it. No, the point is you've got to advertise it. Now, some of the different things you can use, for example, Eventbrite Meetup, for example, you know, could be good options to look at in the same way, you know, you might consider them for in-person events. And as mentioned previously, social media usage has increased by 40% since the COVID-19 lockdown. So using social media to live stream your services gives you access to this increased and highly engaged audience. So you can use live stream on social media to promote your products to your followers with, you know, demos, tutorials, teasers, or, you know, launch announcements. You can create posts to alert followers to your live stream event. And then a lovely thing, which a lot of people really love, is show behind the scene clips of your service. You know, that really makes it much more human, and really people, you know, can resonate with you and everything with all this kind of stuff. It can really be helpful. And then engage in real time with followers as they send likes and comments, positive and negative. All right, we've got one actually on writing for social media, which I'd recommend for dealing with negative comments as well, in as proactive a way as possible and everything, and how that can help. So transition. So some of the different things I'm going to be talking about now, just to get you ready for the next slide. So you've got the social media streaming is great if you want to use mobile to stream and require low audience engagement, all right? And if you are looking for something with high audience engagement, you might want to consider platforms where you can see your audience, yeah? Okay, now reaching large audiences with video, all right. Of course, some platforms offer video conferencing features. Live streaming with video can optimize your audience engagement. You can have your audience participate in conversations. It can slow down the talk a little bit, but the point is, if it's very necessary, that can help a lot. Seeing your audience as well can really be helpful. Of course, I can't see you. I'd love to see you in all your different companies. That's really nice. But of course, for some of the different talks, it can be really vital that you do see them, For instructional demos and activities, it can be very useful. And then you can use live chat functions, of course, like we're using at the moment, to engage conversation and feedback. That's so important, so helpful, because then people can ask their particular questions. And then some platforms offer virtual background features, which is kind of a fun way, you can be like on the beautiful island there on the beach. Lovely. That kind of thing. And then some platforms, and then also you can share your computer screen and give live presentations. Of course, at the moment, I'm giving a live presentation. This is from my screen. So this is the kind of thing that you can be doing as well. Okay, so making your live streams interactive, of course, the live chat feature. You can also have virtual hand raising, creating polls. Polls, for example, Slido, for example. You can also utilize breakout rooms where they can go and discuss amongst themselves and come back with something that they've put together. Particularly if yours is particularly in the direction of education, whatever, it doesn't only have to be education, but maybe something like feedback to the company or things they can improve on or something, or whatever it might be. You can have breakout rooms that you can use. And of course, the chat function, which is very useful. All right. Okay, questions. Pausing for questions. I think I'm doing all right, actually. Finishing the second section here. So any questions, do pass them on to Joanne. Of course, Joanne will be letting me know if there's none yet at the moment. That's great. So I'm going to move on to the next section, because each of these sections, there's just so much great content you can use. So I can watch the time now and relax a little bit on the speed. So setting up a live stream. Let us get started with this. Okay, so now getting started. All right. Ensure that you have the technical equipment, of course, required to set up a live stream. Okay, there's lights, camera, and technology. I'm going to look at a little bit more in detail with this. Don't forget, you can start, even with a lot of this stuff, you can start with what you've got, even if it is with mobile phone and all that kind of thing, Internet speed is very, very important. Stable connection suitable to the type of content and quality you would actually like to produce. I mean, where I am, I got cable, and of course it's the highest I can get to make sure that it's as smooth as possible and everything. So it's stable. I mean, obviously, everything, I'm afraid, with technology, they sometimes have their downfalls, and sometimes the best will dip, but try and make it as consistent and as reliable as possible for you. And then software, there's the encoders. Basically, just to put that word, I know it's a technical term, but really all it's doing is it's taking you talking to the camera and everything through and then broadcasting it. That's what an encoder does, okay? And then, of course, to set up the lighting, the space, the sound, all of those things, very, very important. Okay, I think I'm going to cover those in a little bit more detail. Yeah, in fact, I'm sure I am. So what equipment should you have? Here we go. So, camera. All right. Now, of course, you can use mobile phones nowadays. They've got really good smartphone cameras, are actually really good. I mean, the smartphone I've got, I was quite impressed. I get depth of image and everything with it. It's wonderful. So you can actually try using your smartphone camera to live stream. You can be using webcam, for example. You can be using ones which are built into your computer. I don't highly recommend those. Maybe if you, depending on the quality you're needing. Often it's not the as good quality as you can sometimes get. Webcams, you need to be careful. Obviously, you can get some which are cheap on Amazon and everything, but you've got to be wary that it's really good quality. I'm using Logitech StreamCam, for example, which is quite a good one. We don't actually have a user guide, I'm afraid, Tina, for that to assist you, but you can certainly check out some of the different ones. As I say, this one is StreamCam. Ideally, of course, if you've got, the best is to have a DSLR camera. That's great, and you get really great real cinematic sort of quality, depth of image and everything. You can use a point and shoot camera. There's different options that you can have, but of course the best would be a DSL camera, but of course that's quite a big hefty piece of equipment with a big lens often. And then of course you're having to make sure that you've got something to hold that and make sure it's working smoothly and everything. So yeah, that's the one, Tan. That's one I find quite good anyway. But there's different ones that you can use. There's always, of course, there's competition in the market. But okay, let me move on to, so that's the thing with camera, but camera is not the most important. The most important is sound, really, because good sound is really a must. Now, I don't know if you've noticed with yourself, if the sound is poor quality, often you'll go off it because the sound is not good enough. Sound has got to be good quality. I mean, no, it doesn't have to be as good as I mean, I've got a really nice microphone, which is, best quality and everything. You don't have to have that. You have different, this is what's called a condenser mic. It goes through and then, those very big plugs, plug in the microphone and then it's converted across to the computer and everything, and then it's across to digital and everything. You can have quite big, hefty microphones which are actually doing the full transition process from the audio across to the digital side within the actual. There's many different microphones. Rode, for example, are quite a good make and everything. You don't have to have that. You can, there's different, the best thing, test it out. Ideally, if you can go to a shop and test out the different microphones, the most important thing is, of course, it suits your voice. That's the most important thing. Ideally, if you can filter, I mean, I work with a computer and of course I can filter the sound and everything and I can do all of that, but you don't have to go that far. So all of those different things, yeah, that's great. So it's kind of like all of those things you've got to take into. I mean, I have a little bit of distance as well, Tan, from my microphone, but I don't want it blocking out some of the things like the. I do have my camera is a bit bizarre. It moves, which is a little bit disconcerting to the audience. But certain pieces of software, of course, you can cut down the size. The piece of software we're using at the moment, we can't do that as much. Yes, mine is AKG, Tan. That's it's a very nice condenser microphone, but you don't have to go to that far. Please don't. Start with what you've got. The difficulty, though, if you're going to use a smartphone, is, of course, the smartphone really is for your mouth right over there, so it's a short distance. So probably if you had to get anything, probably think audio first. Camera, so long as it's good enough and you can deal with it, Make sure your internet as well, as I was saying. Anyway, lighting. Let's get on to lighting. So there's different kinds of lights. Generally speaking, LED is the best. It can be more expensive to get an LED actual light, but the advantage is it can actually, it's consistent and it can be very bright. I've got mine on 14%. I could put it up to 100%. I would look more like a ghost because it's so powerful. So that's it, yeah, Tan. So all of these different things to help you. I mean, the point is that you can use natural light. Of course, especially if your brand is particularly getting out there, of course, use natural light. Just be aware, of course, it can change. Suddenly a cloud comes over and suddenly becomes very dark. So you just got to be aware of that. Ideally, if you can have some form of light, it does not have to be LED. You can use some form of lighting so long as it's coming through. Make sure you don't have lights above. Then you get the long shadows, so just be very careful of that. I have broadcasted, I was broadcasting down in Botswana actually, and at the beginning, lighting was great, but I didn't fully question her. And then gradually the sun was setting because of the difference of the time and everything. And by the end of the talk, I could only see very clearly her teeth and everything. So just be really careful that you make sure that if you're going to use natural light, that you can keep it consistent. Preferably, you have one key light at least, which is some kind of bright light, which is coming through and consistent. Oh, right. So that's with the different lighting. With LED lights, one of them is, there's many different, of course, makes. Yes, LED bulbs are better. You can use LED bulb instead of fluorescent lighting, of course. LED lights, you can use one of the makes. There's Elgato, for example, which is often often used for streaming, for example. And it can actually help enhance, the visual quality of your live stream. Just to give you an idea, yes. I think I'm doing all right on the time, so I've got to be aware of the time, what time I've got left. At the moment, I'm actually, if you want to know what I'm using an LED light with an Elgato light, which is like sort of like a square facing me. And then there's another one, which is actually a different one, a different color. Because often color is quite important. The most important thing is with the lighting, make sure you can see the person's color. You can see the person's face nice and clearly, and you can see the color in the face. If it's too bright, then you're losing the natural color. So of course you've got to make sure of those couple of different things. Okay. And of course, often you have one brighter light and then the other. At the moment, of course, I've got a brighter light, which is actually sunlight, which is quite unusual here in the UK. Okay, so check your internet speed. All right, speed test, your internet, very important. Because slow internet speed will actually result in poor content quality, pixelated and everything. And of course, first impressions are so important, and laggy content can really put viewers off. The point is, people are really, making an effort to be there. Even though it's on the internet, they're attending this thing. So you want to really impress them and get their attention and make things nice and easy for them. So run a few tests, of course. Go onto the internet, go to google.com or any search engine, search for internet speed test, and then run the speed test. And then test repeatedly to ensure consistent range. All right, there are two links. If you can provide them there, Joanne, with the two links, the testing bandwidth, Google support, and bit rates and resolutions, just to help you with the technical details there with the internet speed. It's actually there on the talk there to help you. So, all right, so Jan will provide you with those two just to assist you. All right, let us move on. So software to help you stream. Now, of course, an encoder actually helps convert your content into a digital format to stream on YouTube Live or whatever you're using. So picking the best encoder for you depends on your particular needs. As you're sharing your screen or broadcasting gameplay, whatever it might be, use external video or hardware, and you could be managing an advanced production with multiple cameras and audio inputs. Depends what you're working with. Okay. So, for example, with YouTube Live, you will actually only need an encoder if you're sharing your screen. Okay. Now, an encoder compresses audio and video into a format that can be delivered to the YouTube platform. Now, YouTube transcodes your content into lower bit rates, including HLS and iOS. This means that your content will be available to as wide an audience as possible on desktop, mobile, and tablet. Now, YouTube users would have to use encoding software to capture content, including their desktop camera and microphone, and send it to YouTube to be live streamed. Now, encoders are best used for live streams that include, sharing your screen or broadcasting your gameplay using external audio or video hardware, and then managing an advanced production like using, multiple cameras, audio inputs. There are many different types of encoders, and the best one for you depends on your particular needs and what suits you, what you feel most comfortable with. Make sure to evaluate the products and decide which options make the most sense for your particular business. Here are a few that are YouTube Live verified, not made by YouTube, but they are YouTube Live verified. One which we've used for a long time is Open Broadcaster software. I highly recommend it. You can actually filter the sound, which is really great. That one is very useful. There's another one called Stage 10. There's Streamlabs as well. Streamlabs OBS, which you can use, particularly Streamlabs OBS, which you can be using if you're on Mac as well. XSplit, Broadcaster, XSplit, Gamecaster, Wirecast XG. And of course, there's many more that you can be using. StreamYard as well, of course. So there's many different things that you can be using for broadcasting to the different places to help you. All right. You can indeed, Israel, in answer to your question, you can have the event. You can have one Google, and then you can have YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. You can have too many different platforms, which is really useful. I'd highly recommend OBS. The lovely thing about OBS is it is open broadcaster software. It is free, but it is it is quite technical. You need to learn quite a lot. StreamYard, maybe if you just want to, you're not technically skilled in everything, you just want to get everything up and running, that can help. So there's some of the different ones you can choose from. All right, now, getting set up. So now you've got all the different things. Now we're kind of looking into the future. This is the future you, all ready to do all your broadcasting. You've decided on all these different things. Now you can easily set up with something professional using things in your own home. Now make sure as well, please make sure if you're going to do it with other people, double check on the different things, that everything's ready, because people forget things and and they need to have almost like a checklist to go through everything ideally. If it's just you, don't worry about anything. That's right, OBS time. So with film during the day, you can be without any lighting. You can film during the day. You can film facing a window and try catching natural daylight. If you're doing live streaming, of course, try and have another light that is to back it up in case suddenly it's cloudy and it's hailing fast or it's coming down snow. And then consider how your shadow sits on your face, because this can be distracting, all right? So ideally, you've got one bright image, can be daylight, that's fine here, and a slightly less bright on the other side. So you can a little bit of a balance. It's a little bit confusing with mine, I know, but I've got a window there as well, which is kind of confusing. But generally, you've got those two at least, and you can see naturally with your face, and there's not big shadows falling. And try and angle the lighting, so left and right. So you've got left and right, like I was saying, and avoid down lighting, please. No lighting overhead. But be ready to experiment. Try each room with your camera. See what is least distracting. And look, even when you've done live streaming, go over that. I know I don't like seeing videos with myself, but go over the videos and check out if there's anything you can improve, you can work on, you can try out different things, Okay, setting the space, all right, that you can be working in. Preferably don't pick a busy space, where it's going to be really noisy as well. Avoid prints and busy backgrounds. Keep it nice and clear and simple. We've got nice and clear. We've got white wall and everything, we've got a plant there. Try and keep it as simple as possible. And consider how you stand out from your background environment. You don't want to be a floating head. In other words, your clothes are the same as the background, of course. So you stand out. So for example, as well, wearing light clothing in a light environment or wearing busy patterns against color walls can be really distracting. So also try and be careful about the logos, that you can see whilst you're actually filming. everything you wear or display sends a message to your audience, you know. So your audience will notice and be influenced by whether, you know, conscious or subconsciously, the environment and background you choose. So what does your environment say about your brand as well, ideally? And make sure your outfit contrasts with your background so you don't, what I've said already, you don't blend in too much. Try and find a room with clothes or carpets or something and avoid places where you might echo. Of course, the well-known place, the bathroom, when you're singing, your opera voice. Of course, there's a lot of, you know, echoing there, and it's really important to be visually engaging as well as sounding clear. So bear this in mind when choosing where you actually stream from. Just a couple of things there to help you. All right, planning your content. Now think about subject areas or topics that you intend to cover during your actual session. You know, identify your particular goal. So being organized and mentally ready is so important. You know, allow yourself time to prepare a structure. It's kind of like do all of that, but avoid scripting it out too much. I was trained a gourmet restaurant in Norway, for example, on presenting to the camera and everything. And it was very funny with the chef, like, no, we don't need to do any script, you know. Oh, okay, fine. And come to the recording, and of course you realize he did need to have something. But at the same time, it doesn't have to be in the form of a script, you know. Think about the subject areas or topics that you intend to cover during your actual session. You know, you don't want to be too much word by word. Then it sounds too much like they really are reading this stuff. And you want your live stream, of course, to come across as naturally as possible. And scripting it too much can affect the strength of the connection you make with your audience, which is so important. Also, what do you want to achieve in your live stream? You know, your goal. So, you know, for example, you know, the different things that you want to be putting across. Are you wanting to make, is it quite a complicated thing you're trying to explain to them? Are you trying to help them to understand something? Are you trying to come across what your brand stands for, what your principles are? You know, all these different things that you want to be communicating across, and make sure all of your content actually aligns with this goal, you know, and be useful and helpful. This is a big thing. Treat it like a chat show. You're answering, of course, your moderator knows all the topics. I mean, of course, Joanne knows so much. She can be answering all of these different questions, which is fabulous. And of course, I know that you're absolutely safe because, you know, she's answering all these different questions that come up. Passing some to me. Okay. Pre-production tips, you know, run through a dress rehearsal, you know. A tech dry run, essential. It really does mean testing the equipment, connections, and any transitions between tabs, you know, presenters and screen sharing that might be needed. Scheduling sessions allows you to actually advertise and give people enough notice to actually attend. You know, send out reminders for your session. Don't be afraid to be spontaneous sometimes. You can live stream at any time, anywhere with virtual mediums to tell them all about this exciting thing you're going to be talking about. You can always record the live session for your audience to review at a later date because a lot of people can't make that time, but they want to see the video. So, and then share with care. You know, sharing your screen during a live stream is a very useful tool, but be mindful to share only what you mean to share. So make sure you're protecting your IP, you know, close tabs that are irrelevant to prevent missharing, and shutting down superfluous tabs also frees up bandwidth. Lights, camera, action, you know, you've set up the perfect environment. You've tested your tech and done a smooth dry run. You're ready to go. Lights, camera, action. All right, so all of those different things to go through. So share some feedback on your YouTube live experience today. So how did you find using YouTube Live to participate in this live stream? You know, share your thoughts on what worked and what could have been better. I know, captions, we're working on it. So all of these different things, you know, it helps you give an idea and get feedback from the people as well. What could have been better? What could be improved on? All of those different things. All right, YouTube live features. Create a watch page for your live streams. You know, you could set up a watch page for your YouTube live stream so subscribers and non-subscribers can actually click to be notified when the stream is going live, to be warned, to be reminded of it, and then feature your live stream as your channel trailer. You know, you can organize or promote content that you want to highlight on your channel using channel sections. You can promote your live stream content by grouping your live stream videos together on a channel to help direct your audience to your live stream. You know, you could, clips you choose and everything. And then the big thing is how to create highlight clips, depends on whether you use live control room, stream now, or events, the different things you're going to be using. There is more information available. Thank you very much, Joanne. She's going to provide you with support.google.com/YouTube to help you. Don't forget there's YouTube Creator Academy as well to help you with the different things. Promote your live stream on stories. Stories are great. Each stories last 7 days maybe. When you share a story that your subscribers haven't watched, they'll see a colorful ring around your profile picture. Viewers can watch your story by simply tapping your profile picture. So that's Creator Academy, which I was telling you about. Thank you so much. There's live stream planning, discovery, and then creating eye-catching thumbnails. Attract attention to your upcoming streams with visuals and subtitles, which work, and including text on images can draw attention to key information about your live stream. All right, steps to setting up your YouTube live. All right, so creating an account, of course, you need to create an account with YouTube. With Gmail, you've already got an account. You can set up, of course, a business account from there and everything. Verifying your account, entering your live stream details, go live. All right, so verifying your YouTube account. All right, to set up a YouTube account, you'll need to sign up with your email. To upload content or streams, you will need to verify your account. You'll receive a verification code. Call with an automated voice message or text message to get everything sorted. All right. Now going live on YouTube, on the top right, you can click on create. Do you see top right there? Let's see if my one is working at the moment. Oh, wonderful it is. Yes, great. So I'm just going to show you this. But it's not showing up on the slide, is it? Okay, so there we've got create, and then you can click on that, and then you've got upload videos, and then you've got the go live. So of course it's the go live you're going to be clicking on. Enabling your first live stream may take up to 24 hours. Once enabled, you can live stream instantly. So make sure everything's ready. To live stream, you will need a few tools such as a webcam, of course, possibly an encoder. We're going to cover this in the next few slides. All right, go watch the time. You're ready to go live. Okay, create a title for your live stream, adjust to the public. You will be asked what type of audience your stream is directed at. You can also add age restrictions, check your webcam is working, edit your title, set your category, review who can see your stream, and finally, go live. All right, in-stream tips. Respond to comments live immediately. Respond immediately. Monitor your stream with an external display so you can check up everything's working. Use on-screen text as well. Be consistent. And then measuring your success, track your live stream analytics, of course. Live stream analytics give insights on viewership numbers, average watch time, and geographic location on an event-by-event basis. Track subscribers, set goals. All right. YouTube has launched Creator Academy, offering free online courses to really help you on creating content production and audience with some of the ones who've succeeded the most. Take advantage of that. Thank you very much, Joanne, providing the link there. So, pausing for questions. All right, that's the previous one. So I don't think there's any questions or there's any time at the moment, so I'm going to move swiftly on to what are your next steps. There's a lot we've covered in this talk. We've only got 2 minutes left or 1.5 minutes left. So there's a lot to cover in this. By the way, watching the talk again up to 24 hours after I've finished, it's the same address and everything. You'll be able to just leave this tab open, refer back to it, go back to the beginning and play. So you might need to wait a bit and then you'll be able to watch it. So what are your next steps? All right. Hopefully, for some of you, certainly those of you in the UK, small business, charity, free one-to-one mentoring, hopefully eventually expands across to the rest of the world and everything. Thank you for your questions, your interaction, your contributions have been absolutely fabulous. Thank you so much. We're going to wrap up here as we're out of time. There's been a useful dive into live streaming, particularly, your service online. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the session, if you are interested in more training from Google Digital Garage, there are a few ways you can continue learning. We are running many more Google Digital Garage webinars on different subjects. If you'd like to check out the schedule of webinars, check out the address below. It'll take you through to all the different webinars. Also, if you would like to carry on learning online in your own time, check out the Google Digital Garage website for more online training courses which are available to you 24/7, which you can often get a certificate for. And I want to thank him. I thank you so much, Joanne. You've been fabulous. Thank you everyone for taking part here. It's been absolutely wonderful communicating with you. Thank you so much for your contributions, your questions and everything. We really look forward to welcoming you again to another Google Digital Garage training session soon. Thank you.